It was a bright day in Jerusalem, the city stirring. With the buzz of Passover preparations, the air trembled with anticipation. Then, from the Mount of Olives, came the sound of a crowd. And at its center, riding humbly on a donkey, was Jesus of Nazareth. People laid their cloaks on the road, waved palm branches, and shouted,
"Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord."
The long-awaited king had entered his city, but not as a warrior. He came in peace, fulfilling the prophecy of Zechariah. Upon entering the temple, Jesus saw the chaos of commerce and corruption. With righteous anger, he overturned tables and drove out those who had turned his father's house into a den of thieves.
You turned my father's house into a den of thieves.
Children praised him, and the blind and lame came to him, and he healed them. Over the next few days, he taught openly in the temple. The religious leaders challenged him, but his wisdom left them speechless. He told parables that exposed their hypocrisy, called out their pride, and warned of judgment. Crowds marveled, leaders plotted. On the way back from Bethany, Jesus cursed a fig tree, an image of fruitless Israel. The next day, it withered. His disciples were amazed, and he used the moment to teach them about faith and prayer. Later, on the Mount of Olives, Jesus looked at the temple and gave a chilling prophecy. It would be destroyed. He spoke of coming trials, deception, and his eventual return in glory. The disciples listened, troubled yet hopeful. A woman poured costly perfume on Jesus' head and feet, preparing him for burial. Though others criticized her, Jesus said her act of love would be remembered wherever the gospel is preached. But not all hearts were soft. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests and agreed to betray Jesus for 30 silver coins. Jesus gathered with his disciples to celebrate the Passover. As they reclined at the table, he took bread and broke it, saying, "This is my body." Then the cup, "This is my blood of the covenant." A new covenant was being born. Then he washed their feet, serving them like a lowly servant. He spoke of betrayal, of leaving, of the Spirit to come. He prayed for them for unity, for strength, for love. Then they sang a hymn and went out into the night. In the quiet of the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus knelt and prayed in agony.
"Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done."
His sweat fell like drops of blood. Then, suddenly, torches appeared. Judas stepped forward and kissed him. The betrayal was complete. Soldiers seized him. The disciples fled. He was taken from Annas to Caiaphas to the Sanhedrin. False witnesses accused him, but he remained silent, until he was asked directly if he was the Son of God.
"Are you the Son of God?"
He answered,
"I am."
They tore their robes, and shouted and slapped him.
"Blasphemy!"
Away with him!
After the Jewish council Sanhedrin condemned Jesus for blasphemy at dawn, They led him to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. They knew that only Rome could authorize a death sentence.
Make way!
They changed the charge from religious to political.
He claims to be the king of the Jews. He opposes paying taxes to Caesar.
Pilate asked,
Are you the king of the Jews?
Jesus answered.
You say so.
As accusations flew, Jesus stood silent. Pilate was amazed. He questioned him privately and came to the conclusion.
I find no basis for a charge against this man.
But the crowd was relentless. Learning Jesus was from Galilee, Pilate tried to pass responsibility to Herod Antipas, who was in Jerusalem for Passover. Herod had long wanted to see Jesus perform a miracle, but Jesus said nothing, not even when mocked or dressed in a royal robe. Disappointed, Herod sent him back to Pilate. Ironically, Herod and Pilate, once enemies, became friends that day. It was Passover, and Pilate had a tradition of releasing a prisoner. He offered the crowd a choice: Jesus, the innocent teacher, or Barabbas, a violent rebel. The chief priests stirred the crowd.
Barabbas!
Barabbas!
They shouted.
Then what should I do with Jesus?
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
Pilate, still trying to avoid condemning Jesus, had him flogged. A brutal Roman scourging. Soldiers mocked Jesus by dressing him in purple, pressing a crown of thorns onto his head, and sarcastically calling him
King of the Jews!
Pilate brought him out,
Behold the man.
but the crowd screamed louder.
Crucify him!
Crucify him!
When Pilate heard the Jews say Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, he grew more afraid, but political pressure won.
If you let him go, you are no friend of Caesar.
At last, Pilate washed his hands before the crowd and said,
I am innocent of this man's blood.
and he handed Jesus over to be crucified. Jesus carried his cross toward Golgotha, but weakened by beating, he fell. The soldiers forced Simon of Cyrene to carry it for him. Women mourned along the road. Jesus turned to them and said,
Do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and your children.
At Golgotha, place of the skull, they nailed him to the cross hands and feet. Two criminals were crucified beside him. Above his head hung the charge, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, written in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. The soldiers cast lots for his clothing and mocked him.
He saved others. Let him save himself.
One thief joined the insults. The other rebuked him and turned to Jesus.
Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
Jesus replied,
Today you will be with me in paradise.
Jesus looked down and saw his mother and the disciple John.
Woman, behold your son. Behold your mother.
From noon until 3 p.m., darkness covered the land. Then Jesus cried,
My God, why have you forsaken me? It is finished. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit.
and he breathed his last breath. The earth quaked. The temple veil tore from top to bottom. A centurion declared,
Surely this was the Son of God.
Now, Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy council member and secret follower of Jesus, asked Pilate for the body, along with Nicodemus. He wrapped Jesus in linen and spices, placing him in a new tomb carved from rock. A large stone sealed the entrance. The women who had followed Jesus watched from a distance. Pilate, at the priest's request, ordered guards to be posted, just in case. At dawn on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices to anoint Jesus' body. But the stone was rolled away, and the tomb was empty. Two angels in dazzling white said,
Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen.
Terrified, they ran to tell the disciples. Peter and John raced to the tomb. John arrived first, but Peter entered. The linen cloths were there, but no body. Mary Magdalene, weeping outside the tomb, saw a man she thought was the gardener.
Sir, if you've taken him away.
He replied,
Mary.
She turned and cried,
Rabboni.
Jesus said, Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go and tell my brothers. Mary ran with the news.
I have seen the Lord.
Then, Jesus appeared to two disciples on the road to Emmaus. Later, he stood among the disciples, saying, Peace be with you. Thomas doubted until he touched his scars. And again he appeared by the Sea of Galilee. He gave final teachings and reinstated Peter. "40 days after his resurrection, Jesus led his disciples to the Mount of Olives. He blessed them and was taken up into heaven. Two angels appeared and said, Why do you stand looking into the sky? This same Jesus will return in the same way." The story on earth paused, but the mission had just begun.